Hey, sorry about that. I've tried to make this video a couple times, and the reason being is it's hard to put it into words what I'm going to say concerning the topic. And the topic is, the want versus the need of a camera. Now, I've said in the past, and you've heard it a lot from other, intelligent human beings that work with photography, that, a camera doesn't make the photographer. The photographer makes the images, period. And, needing a camera, you would need a fast camera for sports. You would need, a straight medium format for some commercial jobs that require it. But the want is a totally different thing. Now, for instance, the Fuji GFX, everybody says, oh, you'll never need 100 megapixels, and most of us only need 24 megapixels. And I 100% agree with that. But then you get a camera that, for me, it was the Hasselblad X1D, that you get this look out of the images, and when you pull them up, you just get this feeling and this joy from these images that you don't get from any other camera. And a good example of this is when I first started shooting with the X-Pro 3. I love the camera, I love the look, and I do use it for commercial jobs, but very select commercial jobs, because most of my commercial work requires X, and but when I started posting photos from the X-Pro 3, I get a lot of comments, and even individuals from my own building here that would come up to me and say, I love the new look that your photos have. And it was with the X-Pro 3. And, for random people to come up to you and say, hey, I love the look of those. And the only other time this happened was with my Hasselblad, when I posted those photos. And, given the fact that they're scaled down to 1,000 pixels and I think it's 1080 by 1350 on Instagram. You would think, well, all cameras are going to look the same because they're scaled down, but that's not true. That Fuji look is the Fuji look, and not many people can match it. I mean, of course, you can come close to it in Lightroom with filters and adjustments, but it's still not the same. Same thing with Hasselblad. It's the camera versus with a lens versus other, it's a look, and the transition in colors on that medium format file size, and yes, I know it's a crop medium format, so don't come at me, it's still medium format. It's 70% larger than full frame. And the sensor in the X1D is probably almost 6-7 years old now, and it's still phenomenal. It's still one of my favorite sensors ever. Anyway, I was going through Lightroom and I'm looking through my photos, and I can pull out instantly which ones were shot on the Fuji, and I can pull out instantly which ones are shot on the Hasselblad. And the funny thing is like I was really trying to analyze this to death on saying, what is making these Hasselblad files so good to me, even over my R5. And I love the R5. I think it's, the files are great, it's sharp, it's a great camera to use. But what's different in it? What gives me that art feeling versus the clinically sharp, perfect file feeling, if you will? And when I zoom in, the transition in color and the transition in everything on a Hasselblad versus the Canon are two different animals. Like, the Canon is more of a digital transition in everything, and it's more of a digital sharpness. And the Hasselblad it's sharp as can be, but there's some kind of smoothness to it that you just can't get with any other camera. The Fuji GFX. I mean, here the Fuji GFX 50S Mark II. It's using the same sensor as Hasselblad, and the color rendered. It has that Fuji color. Hasselblad has its Hasselblad color, but that sensor is so good for photos. And that's my thing. That's my happiness when I shoot. So getting back to the original part of this video without going on too long is, it's okay to want, I want the Hasselblad for my own use and to shoot with because I enjoy the files that much. I don't expect this to make me a better photographer. I don't expect any camera to make me a better photographer. I do expect some cameras to make my job easier, like the R5 makes my job easier. But for the enjoyment of photography, the enjoyment of it, is it okay to want, say the GFX 100S? It's absolutely okay to want that. I mean, those files are a unique file that you can't get off any other camera. You don't need that resolution. For 90% of us, we just do not need that kind of resolution. But to sit and enjoy photography in that manner with that kind of file is something special. And for me, it's the Hasselblad, or even the Fuji GFX 50S Mark II, I think would give me that same kind of feeling. I honestly believe that. I want to try that camera just for that. But am I buying it for a job because I think it's going to make my photography better? Absolutely not. I think the R5 can do 80% of my commercial work, and the other 10% for the commercial clients that are very critical, the Hasselblad is going to do great. Now, trust me, if the Hasselblad had a better focusing system, because it's contrast only and it's not fast at all, and I'm old, let's get that in there. I would use the Hasselblad for everything. Honestly, I would use it for weddings, I would use it for events, I would use it for everything. But it's challenging at my age and with my eyesight to use a manual focus system in that manner. And Hasselblad's focus peaking isn't, quite the best. It's somewhat accurate, but not completely accurate, which is sad. But Fuji's focus peaking is absolutely amazing compared to the Hasselblad. Anyway, so to want that type of equipment isn't a bad thing. To buy a new lens because you just love the look of it personally, and you're not expecting it to take you to another level. There's no camera or lens that can take you to another level if you don't have the skills to back it up. If that camera is more than you can offer, it is not going to help. But wanting that look, or wanting the look that a camera delivers, just for the art of this, just for the pure enjoyment of photography, is not a bad thing. I say, go and get the camera that is going to make you happy. You're going to shoot more. You're going to shoot, the stuff you want to shoot and actually enjoy it. The R5, don't get me wrong, I love shooting with the R5. I love the images from it. But for the pure joy of photography, I want to pick up the Hasselblad every day, or I want to pick up the X-Pro 3 every day just for the joy of shooting. So that's my rant for the day. I just wanted to say, there's a want and there's a need. And don't, mix the two up. It takes money for the want. It takes the ability to earn for the need. Anyway, I hope this helps. Let me know below, what your want is. If you found that camera that gives you that feeling that the Hasselblad gives me, I'd love to hear. And believe me, I've had people make comments, and some of the strangest cameras out there, but I can't argue with them because it fills their need. It fills their photography artistic void, even if they don't use it for professional use. So have a great day and enjoy a shoot.